Hi everyone, today I want to take another look at the Insta360 AcePro 2, and this time from my perspective in that how do I actually use the camera and how does it fit into my workflow. So this camera's been out a while and there's a lot of videos out there already comparing this to say other action cameras and even other full-fledged camera systems, in Micro Four Thirds, APS-C, and full frame. I can tell you from doing my own testing, from making a couple of videos on this camera already, what makes this camera different and a lot of fun is just basically the overall workflow, the portability, and the video and image quality that you can get from it. I've been an Insta360 user for years now, almost as long as I've had this YouTube channel, and in the early days it was primarily about the vlogging and recording my adventures, but I would argue that at this point in the game, it's actually a viable alternative for photography, particularly in the street and landscape genres. And the reason I say that is because of the multiple accessories they've created for the AcePro 2. For example, this Xplorer Grip Pro really makes it feel more like a classic point-and-shoot camera, but with the ability to shoot RAW. They have this ultra-wide-angle lens, which I love, and I'll show you some samples from this. And also this new printer. You can just take a picture and it'll print instantly out of this little printer, and the image quality is really good. Now, my initial review of this camera, I focused primarily on the wide angle photography and the kind of images you can take straight out of camera. But since then, they've come out with this ultra wide angle lens that you can just attach very easily, and it makes a huge difference. Now the angle of view goes from like 157 degrees to a full 189 degrees where it actually can see a little bit behind the camera in the corners. And just to illustrate, here is one shot without the ultra-wide lens attached, and then here is one with the ultra-wide lens attached, and then here's kind of an overlay so you can see the difference there, and then one more side-by-side comparison, and you can see how much more of the scene I'm able to get in the frame. So with this new capability for ultra-wide field of view, I went out and I took a bunch more pictures, but rather than just show you a bunch of wide-angle shots, I wanted to also give you a feel for the flexibility that you have using the RAW files, the DNG format, in this camera. Now, they claim like up to, I think, 13.5 stops of dynamic range, but basically it just means you have a lot of flexibility when editing, of recovering highlights and pushing shadows. And so what we're going to do is go through a sequence of the unedited RAW file first, and then the straight out of camera JPEG using various profiles. I usually use like Leica Natural, sometimes I use the Urban, but in any case, we'll go from that to the edited RAW file, which has all of my creative choices for the final output. Now you may have noticed in some of the raw images that you could see my fingers in the frame, and that's because, like I was saying earlier, is that this lens actually sees a little bit behind the camera. And you can avoid that. You can just simply take a picture holding the camera this way or just tapping the back of the screen to take a picture. I didn't find it a big deal because I end up cropping in post anyway. Also, you want to make sure you shoot in the 4:3 aspect ratio, because if you change the ratio to say 16:9 or 1:1, it actually crops the raw image. So I would rather have the native 4:3 aspect ratio and capture the entire image on the sensor rather than having a cropped raw image. The other thing is that we have a zoom lever here, right? We can zoom in and out up to 2x, or you can just tap the back of the screen to instantly punch in to 2x. That doesn't affect the raw image, thankfully. You still get the full image sensor data. However, the JPEG image will be cropped. So if you're a JPEG shooter, you can use the zoom lever up to 2x. But if you're a RAW shooter, it's not going to affect that image. You can just use the zooming function just to help you with composition if you know that you're going to be cropping it later in post-processing. And you have 50 megapixels here to work with, so you can actually crop in quite a bit and still retain good detail. Now, a few other tips if you're going to be shooting in RAW, and this is where the Xplorer Grip really makes a difference, is, I assigned the rear dial here to be exposure compensation. So I'd be shooting in full auto, and then if I wanted to preserve the highlights, I could dial in like a -1 EV, and then if I wanted to bring up the shadows, I could dial in like a +1 EV. And, this made it so easy to do in the field, and it's something I'm very accustomed to when I'm working with my regular cameras. Also, you have full manual control. Now, the aperture is fixed at f2.6, but you have full control over the shutter speed and the ISO. And the range is like between 1/8,000th of a second is your fastest shutter speed, but it'll go all the way down to 120 seconds. And then for your ISO, it goes in steps of a 100 between 100 and 1600. So if you like to do, say, long exposure photography, you can dial in like up to 120 seconds of exposure time on your shutter. And they do sell like ND filters and accessories that you can add to this as well if you like to do that kind of thing. And you can also control white balance. So you just go in here, put it in the manual, and you can go between 10,000 Kelvin and all the way down to 2,000. Now, the last thing I want to show you is this instant printer, and this is probably the most fun part of the entire system. I took this to an event where I had a bunch of my friends with me, and I took a picture of it sitting at the table, and then I was able to print it out instantly and hand it out, and it was so much fun. Even the waiter was like, "Wow, that is so cool." But yeah, you can set this up even to be sort of like a Polaroid, where they have this adapter, and it just snaps on, and then you just snap the camera on top like this, and it's almost like a Polaroid camera because you take a picture and it'll print out instantly. Now, it's not instant because it takes about a minute of the paper going in and out before it actually is done, but it's not bad. I don't typically use it like that, so I'm probably just going to put this adapter somewhere where I'll lose it. And I just keep this in my bag somewhere like that. It's very small. The paper cartridges, you get 10 pieces of paper with the ink in each cartridge. And it's like $10, so it's about $1 a print, which is about the going rate for these kind of things. But it snaps in very easily, and then you push and hold that, and then it connects to the camera. And you don't have to print every picture. You can, just go through your gallery here and just print the images that you want by choice. Or you can use the app and print images, any image that's on your phone. So you can take a picture with your phone and print it out on this printer. So it's very versatile, it's compact, and relatively affordable. It's just $1 a print, and the quality is really good. I like to keep a little photo album of all my little instant prints, and I've tried a lot of different instant cameras. These are from another Canon Ivy, I think, that I took, and the quality is okay, but the colors are always a little bit off. And I have some black and white ones and thermal ones that I use, but I'll show you a few from this camera, and you can see the quality is really good. This one's a little bit underexposed, but these are pretty much straight out of camera, and they look great. And you can add a Leica logo to it if you want, like I did on this one. This is the one I took in the restaurant with my friends, and it was awesome handing this out. And I got a couple more here, and I'm going to be building up my photo album here. And this is just a standard one that you can buy like for the Fujifilm Instax printer or Instax camera. It's the same exact size. So the Insta360 series of cameras and lenses have been amazing for me over the years. I love how they continue to innovate, and I think they did an excellent job here with the AcePro 2. And I love this new Xplorer Grip Pro, along with the ultra-wide angle lens and the printer. It's, it's so portable and easy to carry and just throw into any camera bag with my other camera gear. And I think it's going to add a lot of fun and variety to my adventures. And if you're watching this in March of 2026, they are running a spring special with some substantial discounts. I'll have my affiliate links down below so you can check out the latest pricing. But that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.